Hi, Angel, Selena, welcome.
Hello.
So, I don't know if you read chat or anything, and have you been in the WhatsApp? Christine is out. She's ill today, and she's in the, she's taking care of herself at the moment. Who else has been to the room? Gab, the note taker. All right, welcome everyone. Uh, Lucy. Hi, Lucy. Welcome, Gab. Lucy. Okay. So if everyone can come to a seated, comfortable seated position, we're going to begin today with our meditation. Before we start this, how's everyone doing? How are you doing, Angel? Yeah. Thumbs up.
Doing
Selena,
good.
rise and shine. Oh, Sadie's coming in. Give everyone a moment to come in. Hi, Sadie. Welcome. She's sleepy but good, Angel says. How are you, Sadie? Nice to see you pop in. All right, we're just gonna do like we always do, a 5-minute meditation and keeping Christine in our hearts and our minds right now. Just find yourself comfortable, grounding your sacrum, your sit bones, closing our eyes, feeling our bones connecting where we're at, feeling our skin. Noticing our breath, notice your inhale, your natural exhale. Notice how you feel in your mind, in your heart, in your throat. Feel in your feet, in your legs, in your hands. Take a deep collective inhale. Feel the belly, feel the chest. Then the energy of an intake of air through your throat. And exhale, sigh. Take another inhale to the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's hold it at the top. Maybe take another sip of inhale through our nostrils and a slow exhale through our nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's place our hands on our hearts, maybe one hand on our belly, and breathe into your hands and your chest to warm up your hands, warm up the chest. Maybe give yourself a little rub. Let's play with a little bit of fire energy. Let's build a little bit of heat here in this motion, and collecting our heart energy in our left hand. Maybe your right hand is there, and then breathing into our belly, hand here, thinking about our sister. And let's take our hands together in front of our chest and rub our hands together. Let's cultivate a nice loving, healing energy in our palms. And let's slowly lighten up the rub and slowly separate the hands and feel the heat generating between our hands. This beautiful blue light building up in our hands. A blue, loving, energetic light. Let's play with this light, this ball of energy. And let's imagine this healing, loving energy coming from our body, our prana. And then let's lift this up to our sister. Let's lift it up to the Supreme. Take a big inhale with your arms up high. And exhale, shoot it forward. Send it to Christine. Full exhale. And come back to hands of prayer at center. And breathe in your space. Get buoyant in your lungs. Lengthen your crown. grounding on your exhale. Let's take another minute of silence, having compassion for all those that are suffering. When it is time, I'll guide you. Slowly open your eyes. Find some movement in your toes. Come back to your breath. Hands to prayer at the heart, to your third eye. And we bow to the Buddha within, into the healing source of prana from the sun. Thank you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I pass the mic over to Gab.
Thank you so much, Joaquin. Good to see everyone. Selena, Angel, Lucy, Sadie, and Drell. Yes, apparently I was taking a yoga class earlier today, so I'm just catching up on all the news on the group chat, but looks like Christine is not feeling well. The last thing that we'd heard from her was that she was getting IV right now. She's at the clinic. So thank you for that beautiful like prayer and intention for our dear one, Joaquin. And today, continuing with the practicum, I wanted to show up just to check in with everyone, see how everyone is doing, answer any questions. I figured today could be more of a Q&A session and just to get a sense for how you're feeling in the YTT and what are some things that you're still struggling with? What are some challenges that you've been facing when it comes to the course or when it comes to teaching in general? I know it's a relatively new skill, so we're all going to get a chance to share. And if you can't turn on your camera or unmute yourself, just share on the chat instead. So who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Hey, Selena.
I spoke to Christine last time and I think I'm still having, I really love the class. I admitted and was apologetic to Christine for not last week, but the week before, because mentally I couldn't, in my mind, I couldn't come back and do, I think it was Sun B first because I didn't practice, but I was overwhelmed with the amount of it.
Mm,
And I had asked her, would it be possible, like, if I just did half of it? Because when I remember doing all of us doing Sun A and speaking it, and that was like a huge thing for me. That was like a huge, like a, oh my gosh, I'm getting yoga certified. I'm going to be a, like a yoga instructor. And it was just that alone was hard for me to, it was beautiful, but it was still hard. It's still difficult. So, um, of course it's on me to, do the practice, but, I just asked that I would, if it was okay that, I go on my own pace and kind of shorten it and just do shorter sections because I was, me personally, I was overwhelmed with, my mind was going, oh my gosh, I can't say it the right way. And I was being so judgmental on myself that I'm dealing with a lot of that too.
mm.
But I love the class and it's been a lot of fun and I'm having a great time.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Selena. And I hear that your concern is with, you know, being able to do a shortened version of the Sun B, because right now it feels a little overwhelming, and you're also recognizing and sharing that you haven't had a chance to practice as much, and because of that, the Sun A, just getting through that felt like a massive accomplishment. You felt like the excitement of like, wow, I'm going to become a yoga teacher, I'm going to get certified, and getting the words out, it was something that felt very special. And now the Sun B feels like it's a lot longer. It feels like a bigger mountain to climb.
Mhm.
And the answer is always yes. Of course, you can take your own time. That's why our course and our program is designed the way it is. That being said, what I find is that, I don't know, has Christine talked to you all about the four levels or the four layers of learning? Has she mentioned that before in any class? Does it sound familiar at all? Four layers of learning. All right, let's take out our pen and papers and let's take notes. This is going to be important. And this is like, especially when it comes to teaching yoga, it is one of the most important skills that you can understand, because it's going to make this whole process of learning how to teach way easier. So the four layers of learning is this. If I sit here and I read out the Sun B, and it's this pose, then this pose, then this pose, then this pose, and this pose. You just heard me saying it. You heard the words and it went into your ears. That's layer one. Layer one is listening. I'm hearing the words and I'm receiving it for the first time. The second layer of learning is doing it. It's actually like doing it with your body. So for example, that's why a lot of people, when they become yoga teachers, they started out by being yoga students. They took class. You show up to class and you take class, and the instructor says words with their mouth. Those words make noises that go into your ear, and then the noises in your ears get decoded in your brain, and now you do movements with your body. So now we're moving into the poses, right? The first layer is listening. The second layer is moving with our body. There's a kinetic element to it. The third layer is writing. Okay, so now Christine taught me the Sun B. She got all of us to stand up from our chairs. We physically did the movements as she was teaching us the sequence. And then we sat back down, and then I took notes. Or I write down the whole Sun B in my own words. I write my own cues. I write it all down. Can anybody guess what the fourth layer of learning is? Yeah, speaking, specifically teaching it to others. If you are in a yoga teacher training program and you are not teaching somebody yoga other than Mondays at 11 a.m., you're going to have a really hard time. 6 months is not going to be enough time for you to get certified to teach yoga. A year is not going to be enough time for you to get certified to teach yoga. If all the time that you are teaching or going through those four layers is only happening once a week on Mondays at 11 a.m., you're not going to have, there is not enough time in a year, 2 years, 3 years for you to become a certified yoga teacher. And definitely not for you to become a certified yoga teacher at Yoga Marga School. That process of listening to the cues, listening to the class, taking class, writing it down, and then sharing it and teaching it and speaking it out loud to other people, that's something that we want to sprinkle in throughout our week. So for example, when I was, and I've led, at this point, I think I've led about 4 or 5 different yoga teacher training programs before we started with Yoga Marga School. And every single time, there's always a prerequisite number of classes that you're supposed to take, right? So for like a 200-hour program, traditionally, it's about 50 to 100 yoga classes that you have to take. This YTT course that you're all a part of is actually a really advanced yoga teacher training course, because we're going deeper than most traditional YTTs. So this is more akin to like a 300 or 350 hour YTT when you actually add up all the hours that we're expected to do and that we do together during the 6-month process that we're going through. Okay. So that means that, we want to make sure that we're taking class. And if we're not able to take class, that's fine. Then can we sprinkle in 15 minutes of like a recording or 20 minutes of a YouTube video, or like taking the class so that we get the layer one, finding a moment to be able to practice physically in your body that's going to take care of layer two. Sharing that with somebody. Hey, grandma, can I show you real quick? Just do this on A with me. Or grabbing one of your kids aside, like, hey, I need your help for 5 minutes. Can I have 5 minutes of your time? Okay, great. Look, inhale, lift your arms overhead. Exhale, hands to prayer by your heart. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Okay, thank you. That's all I needed. Even that, sometimes just the jitters and the nervousness of getting the words out for 5 minutes makes a huge difference. Huge, huge difference. Because we overestimate, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to need hours and hours to memorize this. But really, if we just sprinkle in like 5 minutes, you grab your cousin, your brother, your sister, and we just tell them how to breathe. We guide them through a couple of the movements, maybe a couple of the sun B, just little sections of it. What ends up happening is that it becomes more ingrained in your mind. It's just in there all the time, you know? So, and I know that you're busy, especially you, Selena. I mean, all of us here in this call, we all have life going on, and it can be overwhelming. When that being said, like I would encourage you to try to find those moments. Like, how can I sprinkle in those 4 layers? Okay, I wasn't able to take class today. So, and I wasn't able to show up to the Christine's class on Tuesday at 7 a.m. But can I write it down? Can I take the sequence that's on my phone or that's on the school, and can I just grab a blank piece of paper, put a 5-minute timer, and can I just write down the sun B from memory? Downward dog, three-legged dog, low lunge, this, that, the other thing. Oh, I don't remember what comes after low lunge. Okay, let me look it up. Low lunge, then it's this other pose, and then this other one, and this other one. And just that, it really is like the process of learning is a process of almost like grappling. It's like grabbing clay and molding with it and playing with it. And you have to do that with the information. It can't just sit statically somewhere. And it can't be something that we just visit once a week. It has to be something that we're like touching and grabbing and playing with, and like, and kind of understanding at a deeper level. Does that help a little bit? Does that give you like maybe some ideas as to how to make this more accessible?
Yeah, when you say 5 minutes, then it's not as overwhelming when I think about it, because I definitely could make 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and last point before I move on to Lucy is that it was shocking to me how much 5 minutes makes a difference. It like truly, because what ends up happening 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is this: you're going to put your 5 minutes, you get started, the 5 minutes goes off, you're like, I can do another 5 minutes.
Mhm.
I can stay here. And even if you just did the 5 minutes, because your mind was on that frequency, it was like interacting with the information in that way, it's already there. It's like fresh in your memory, you know? So huge. 5 minutes a day, you can read a whole book in a month with just 5 minutes of reading each day. Not even a whole page, or not even a whole chapter rather, but like 5 minutes of reading a day will probably come close to a book. Obviously, depending on the size of the book, but whatever.
Dave, the yoga class, the certification is a 6 month. It's not the year. I'm thinking of the
We
life
give
is the year.
Yeah, so we give people access for the year, but you should be able to do it in 6 months. Some people take longer. There's people that have taken 2 years to go through our training.
Okay.
So, it's going to take as long as it's going to take. And that's one thing that we do differently. We take more of a traditional approach to how yoga is taught, which is not based upon certificates or hours or any of that. It's predicated on how much do you actually know? How much did you actually like wrestle with that information and play with that, and how much do you embody it? That's really it. And then that just takes time. It takes time. Lucy,
Thank
I
you.
saw your, of course, love. Lucy, you had your hand raised.
Just to add on to everything that you said, you can also record yourself. Like after you write it down, you can record yourself for that 5 minutes, like Gabe was saying. Then you can practice that recording yourself and see how, what adjustments or what different, what changes you can make, or you can reach out to another one of the students in the school, or even one of us. I don't mind. You can say, hey, do you have like maybe 20 minutes, half hour, or whatever, and you can practice with one of us. This is something else to keep in mind, that we're all here to help. And that's kind of how that's other tips I remember from like when I was going through it too, and that's what I did. I recorded myself. I actually recorded myself doing the poses and recorded myself saying the poses so I can see it, and then I make my own adjustments, my own cues. You start getting your own flow like that. A couple
Yeah.
of other little things thrown.
Thank you for sharing that, Lucy. And yeah, just so you all know, like Joaquin and Lucy have both been through this program twice now, going on a third time. Yeah. So please, please, please reach out to them. If you need someone to practice, if you don't feel comfortable with anyone in your life that would be able to like listen or be a body for you, but you need practice, reach out to Joaquin or Lucy. I know they would be more than glad. And same thing with me. I'm pretty busy, but like if you really need to have someone for like 20, 30 minutes to kind of give you some feedback, like I'm here as well. Ideally that's something that, if Christina's feeling better and when Christina's feeling better, that we reach out to her as well, that we're talking to her about what's happening. But we're all here to support you guys and to make sure that we all get there towards the end. So I'm checking the chat here. It looks like Joaquin wrote, I'm totally here for it. I'll let you practice cueing me. I was scared as hell. Not anymore. Yeah. It's just getting the jitters out, as one of my teachers would say. You just got to get the jitters out. You just got to get out there, just say the words, you just let it. Yeah, exactly. Shake it off. But it's worth it. It's worth it because then it gives you a different understanding of yourself and how you show up. And it improves not just your ability to teach yoga, it improves your ability to do literally anything else. It teaches you how to project your voice. It gives you a new level of confidence once you get through that process. Cool. All right. What else has been coming up for y'all? How else are we feeling? So Nate was so empowering for me. Yeah. Just knowing that you can, right? Mm-hmm. Angel, how are you doing over there?
I feel like I've been good. I've also had some trouble with Sun B. But last time when I spoke to Christine, she mentioned instead of doing the full warrior like standing up, to put one knee down, so make it a lower lunge with the knee down instead. Maybe that would make it a little easier. So I've still need to practice more with Sun B. In terms of like the reading, I feel like now that there's not a link in a specific reading, like it was in the first few weeks, I've had trouble like making sure that I'm reading the correct thing. Um, because in the beginning it was make sure you read this for class, we're gonna learn this, and then now everything is learning this in class. So it makes me confused, like if I need to read something before class or not. So I feel like I might be behind in reading because of that. Um, hmm. I feel like my listening is like peak because I'm always in class, always taking notes. Like it's so amazing. It's crazy. Um, so listening and writing is pretty good. Moving with the body, I've been going to classes every week, every day, pretty much. So it seems pretty good. With speaking though, I did not think about teaching others other than like myself in this moment because since I don't have the certification yet, I didn't want to like be teaching something and had like possibly injure somebody because like I didn't know a certain ailment that they had or something like that. So I've been staying away from teaching people in my life until I have the certification because I don't want that, like if they end up getting injured or something and I don't have a certification, like how can I like teaching something without having um like I have the knowledge, but I don't feel like I have enough knowledge to make sure that I can ensure that somebody won't get injured.
How
Um
would you be able to know that you have the right knowledge? to make sure that someone doesn't get injured? What would you need to do to be able to get to that point?
I feel like knowing that in my body, like when I feel pain somewhere, um making sure that I'm listening to my body, that way I can think about how others would need to listen to theirs. Taking it slow, and I really think that the way that I've been taking notes when I read is really important, because instead of just like skimming through things, I'm writing down um every single adjustment, or if they need blocks, or if they have back problems, knee problems, or they get dizzy, like all that stuff that's in the school, I've been writing down all of that. So I feel like the more that I keep doing that, the more I'll know how to help someone in their body. And making sure that before I start with somebody, that I know if they have like any previous injuries or current injuries or anemia or any other type of health concern. That way I can um, maybe look that up a little bit before I have a class with them, before I have like a practice session with them. That way I know for sure that I'm not encouraging them to do something that would hurt their body, especially if it's their first time doing yoga. Then they might just like listen to what the teacher says and not really listen to what their body needs necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love like how much you really care, and you really care about making people feel better with yoga and not make them feel worse or injure them accidentally. And you have a very legitimate concern, Angel, that I'm sure maybe I share with some of you of like, how can I teach anybody anything if I'm not certified? If I myself don't know if this is safe or not, you know, I don't want to injure somebody. I don't want to hurt somebody, right? And you want to be very cautious. And the way that you're being cautious is by taking notes, writing all the possible, what is it, like the counter indicators for the poses and the modifications and all the things that are needed. Now, what I will share is from my personal experience, it is virtually impossible for you to be able to know everything that there possibly is to know to prevent someone from being injured or not. What you can do is do the absolute best that you can to encourage people to do something that you've already mentioned that was very wise, which is trust the intelligence of your body. So when I'm teaching classes at a yoga studio and I'm teaching a class of 40, 50, 60 people, and there's people that are in their 60s and 70s, people that are in their teens, there's people that are overweight, there's people that are underweight, there's people that are have all the disabilities, there's people that have no disability, like the whole range, a spectrum of human beings shows up to a class. There is no way for me to possibly know in my mind, because I'm not a machine, to have every possible contraindication for each one based on their age and, medical history and whatever. And even if every single one of those 50, 60, 70 people came up to me and they came up with a piece of paper and they're like, Gab, this is my medical history. I know you're about to teach class in 5 minutes, but could you make sure not to do any of the poses that are going to not be good for my thyroid? There's just no way, because guess what? That pose is going to not be good for somebody else in the class that has a different thing. So every time I start a class, I walk in, I say, hi, everyone, my name is Gabriel. Today we're going to be going through this vinyasa class. Just a quick reminder that I'm just a person saying words in front of you that has been doing these words for a long time. However, there is something that's even wiser and more intelligent than the words that are coming out of my mouth, which is the wisdom of your own body. So the encouragement for all of you here is to trust that and listen to that. And if you don't know what that means, then throughout this class, we're going to explore that. When we feel pain, when we're hurting, when our arms are shaking and our legs are shaking, or when something doesn't feel good or doesn't feel right, we know it. We know that in our bodies. Every single person in here has had that feeling. When that happens and you feel like you're reaching that edge, I want you to first try taking a deep breath in. Second, I want you to look down towards your feet, and then you know enough about cueing to know the safe way of getting into that pose. That's one thing we do need to know. There's anatomically correct ways that we can guide someone regardless of their flexibility level, any of that. You give them the modification, and if the modification is not working, find a child's pose. Lay down on your back. Just come to a seat and catch your breath. If you don't give yourself permission to go through the 4 layers of learning, and specifically for you, Angel, the layer of teaching other people, you're never going to get good enough to be able to actually be able to teach other people. Because knowing how to keep people safe in a class comes from experience rather than memorizing words. So I'll give you all an example. I had a class in Santa Monica when I was living in Los Angeles, and I prepared for this class for hours, and I was going to teach people handstands. And the whole class was going to be like a handstand class. And I was super excited. I practiced, I worked on it. In that class, it was the most prep I'd ever done for a class. The first thing that happened was that this older lady showed up and said, I just got out of surgery and I just like had a shoulder surgery. So can we make sure that we don't do anything that's shoulder related? I'm like, this whole class is about going upside down. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll make some modifications for you. And then the next lady that came in, it's like, oh my gosh, my hips. I just had every single person that just had surgery in Santa Monica just showed up to my class. And I'm not lying to you guys. I literally had one girl right after that that came up and she didn't have an arm. Like she like was missing like her hand, you know? So she like it was like the craziest like Murphy's Law moment, you know? So all my planning, all the strategizing, all the like figuring out safe poses, safe ways of getting into inversions, all of that went out the door. And then I had to do what a teacher does, which is teach the room and teach to what was needed. I could have let my ego take away, but I'm like, no, these people don't need handstands. They need to like learn. There's a million other things that I can do to help them. So sometimes things don't go according to plan. And sometimes what's going to happen is that you're going to have all these like illnesses and all these contraindications memorized. But I promise you, Angel, when you start teaching yoga classes, someone's going to show up and they're going to say something that you've never even heard about. And they're going to say, hi, I have this very rare specific condition that affects my low back. Is this class going to be helpful for that? And then those are the moments where you get to decide, am I going to be a teacher with integrity or not? And a teacher of integrity says the truth. The truth is, I don't know because I don't know what that condition is. And I just started teaching 6 months ago. But I tell you what, let's move slowly. And if you have any concerns, just come to a pause. And during class, you can raise your hand and then we'll talk about maybe some modifications or some things that we can do to help you. How does that sound? And that's honest. You know, the only thing we can be in this life is ethical and honest. If we want to like, you know, avoid these fears of getting sued or getting this and that. People get themselves in trouble because someone says, oh, my low back is hurting. Can you recommend some yoga stretches for my low back? And then someone that's inexperienced is like, yeah, bend over and touch your toes. Yeah, do some hamstring stretches, do wide-legged forward fold, do this, do that. But because that person doesn't know anything about anatomy, they didn't realize that this person has a herniated disc and that those stretches are actually making it worse. And then now someone ends up having to go to the hospital because you told them to stretch more because their low back was hurting. 9 times out of 10, when someone says, hey, Gab, this thing is hurting. Can you tell me what yoga poses to do? 9 times out of 10, I say, I actually don't know. Because the truth is there's so much more when it comes to anatomy. And all of you, if you've been going to Christine's Wednesday classes, you've been learning just how deep anatomy goes. And there's anatomy on the Western aspect of it, and then there's the Ayurvedic and more Eastern approach to anatomy. There's the energetic bodies, there's the subtle bodies. There's so much that's happening there that the most important thing for a teacher to have is humbleness, to know that there's so much more that we don't know. But if we're so afraid of what we don't know that we don't give ourselves permission to actually want to help people and practice teaching them, practice guiding them, practice putting myself on a limb and sharing this Sun A, this Sun B, this cool down series. If I don't have the courage to be able to share that, I'm never going to be able to help anybody. I'm just going to start hoarding information and reading books and watching videos and taking notes and making sticky points and having all this information, but it never goes anywhere. It never goes to anybody. The best thing you can do is just be like, hey, I don't know. Hi, I'm not a yoga teacher. I'm getting certified to teach right now, and I would like to practice with someone. Is it okay if I practice with you? Okay, before we get started, are there any conditions that I should know about? Oh, I have this, this, and this. Okay, well, I don't know anything about this, this, and this. But can you do me a favor as we get started with today's class? If at any point you feel anything, could you just let me know? And then it changes like the energy of it, right? It changes everything because you're being completely, you're just putting yourself on a limb. No risk, no reward. And even for someone that is suffering in their body, there's things that are hurting that's bringing them to a yoga class. They have to take a risk themselves, don't they? They have to say, well, I don't know if this class is going to work or not, but I'm willing to show up. And that's the beauty, that's really the alchemical process of teaching. When a teacher has the courage to show up, and when a student has the courage to show up, like that's where like magic really happens. But if like the teacher decides not to show up or the student decides not to show up, that process doesn't happen with just one or the other, right? It's the mixture of the two. Is that helpful? Does that give you some ideas?
Yeah, that is really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Same medicine, Angel. 5 minutes. Grab a friend and be like, hey babe, like, can I take would you mind if I borrowed you for 5 minutes? I'm learning how to teach yoga, and I would just love to have a real human being other than myself to like share this Sun A sequence. It's going to sound really silly, but I just need you to turn your camera on, or I just need you to come into my room, and I just need you to do the things that I'm going to say with my mouth. Is that cool? Okay, great. Inhale, arms overhead, exhale, blah, blah, blah. And then you just go through it, you know? Now, I see that, Andrel, you had a question earlier. I didn't mean to skip you, love. Sorry about that. And then I see Sadie commented as well. So Angel wrote earlier, I'm struggling with time management. And I'm seeing a lot of hugs there too. That there seems to be a theme. and I think the answer to that, Andrel, is the exact same thing. We vastly underestimate the amount of progress we can make with focused, concentrated attentions in short periods of time. Short periods of time. I promise you, if every single one of you dedicated 5 minutes to teaching, that's not 5 minutes of like thinking about it, thinking about teaching. That's 5 minutes of like, you grab a human being, you grab a physical person with a body, an able-bodied person in your environment, and you're like, sir, ma'am, person, would you please allow me 5 minutes of your time so that I may share with you this beautiful gift of yoga? And then you pull up the sequence, right? And then you literally just go, here, I'll share my screen. You grab a random person that you know. You grab grandma. You know grandma needs to do some yoga, and you grab grandma, you're like, okay, grandma, we're gonna start coming to an easy seat. Just come to an easy seat, take a few breaths. Okay, now we're gonna twist. Grandma, inhale your arms overhead, exhale, twist. All right, how does that feel, grandma? Great. Take a few breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale back to center, arms overhead, exhale, twist. Okay, grandma, just breathe into that twist. Notice what that feels like. Grandma, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, now we're going to do what's called cat-cow. Bring your hands down to the ground. Hands over shoulders over the wrist, hips over your knees. Inhale, cow pose. Drop your belly, gaze up. Feel the stretch, relax your shoulders. Exhale, round. Blah, blah, blah. You can do the whole warm-up in those 5 minutes. And guess what? Now you practice yoga. Now you found the time. And you give grandma an incredible opportunity for her to like come into contact with her body and herself. So it doesn't take much to see significant difference, but 5 minutes, that's a game changer when compared to nothing, compared to 0 minutes, And I promise you, 5 minutes a day, you'll go through the whole sequence in a week. If you can do the warm up on Monday, you do the Sun A on Tuesday, you start doing the first half of Sun B in 5 minutes, You know, you just break it all down into these little chunks where you're actually teaching another person. It gets ingrained into the mind so quickly, you know, because now you're using all your senses. You know? Yeah, I'm gonna share with you guys a little story. I think some of you have heard this story before, you know, so forgive me if this is the 1,000th time that you've heard it. But when I first started teaching yoga, I was dead broke, y'all, like embarrassingly broke. I was living on my buddy's couch for like 300 bucks a month and like barely making rent. Like $300 a month was like a stretch. And I was doing the most, y'all. I was doing DoorDash, Uber, working at restaurants, doing side gigs, editing videos for people at night. I was doing everything. And when I got the opportunity to do a yoga teacher training, it was hard because my teacher was very strict and he wanted us to take a lot of class and he wanted us to show up, and it was really intimidating. Like if we were teaching and we got something wrong, he would like yell, you know, it was like really intense, you know? So the whole point is that I was working like 4 or 5 jobs at that time, you know? So how was I broke? I don't know, but I was working all the time and still like not making money. I do know it's because I was spending so much money on gas and doing other things. But the point of this story is that the only way that I was able to make this happen for myself was carving out those times. So while I was driving doing deliveries, right, I would just go through the sun A in my mind. I'm like, okay, sun A, mountain pose, there's a back bend, mountain pose again, forward fold, inhale, halfway lift, exhale, forward fold, but I was just saying the words in my mind. So then if I have a 20-minute drive or if I'm stuck in traffic for 30 minutes, guess what? That's a great opportunity for me to start like saying the words out loud. And sometimes I would literally teach a whole class out loud while I'm seated in my car driving, you know, and it looks silly, but who cares? Like no one's in the room, no one's there in the car with me, you know? But it took that. That's what it took. Because if I just waited to only teach at the yoga studio when I had class, like there's no way I would have been able to keep up. Like there's no way I would have been able to like to actually learn this in a short amount of time. And for me, we only had, I believe, 2 months to have all this information memorized, and there was a test. So just know that the fact that there's more time is not an excuse for us to just relax. It just means that we can take the pressure off and yet recognize that what you're doing is challenging. This program is a challenging program. It's a difficult program. It is an advanced yoga teacher training. You're getting more than what most people experience oftentimes. That means that it requires a significant amount of effort, you know, and it requires a significant amount of like showing up for that. And it's very simple. It doesn't have to be so hard. You know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I promise you it's going to make a big difference. Cool. Andrel, do you feel that with your schedule that you could carve out like 5 minutes to do yoga with grandma, maybe like once a day? Some days, yeah. What days do you think you could do 5 minutes with grandma? Like what days of the week? Okay, maybe Tuesday or Thursday, great. Is that morning or evening? What would be the best time to catch you and grandma at the same time? Okay, cool. Yeah. So in the evening since you work. Now, do you think that there's anybody that you know, any of your friends that would be down to meet with you for just 5 minutes to do like a FaceTime video for you for 5 minutes on like Wednesday or Monday? Is there any friend, anybody like a real one in your life that would give you 5 minutes around the same evening time on Monday and Wednesday? Yeah. Yeah. So that's your homework for this week. We know that you're going to meet with grandma on Tuesday and Thursday for 5 minutes in the evening. Your homework is to find someone and meet with them for 5 minutes. And if not, guess what? I'm sure Lucy or Joaquin would, or even Christine, would be more than glad to meet with you for 5 minutes. And we doesn't have to be so complicated. We just grab our phone, we go on FaceTime, or you do a Zoom call, or just really quick and just be like, hey, I'm just gonna read these words and I want you to do it, and I'm gonna look at your body, and we're just gonna practice for a little bit. Do you think you can do that, Andrea? All right. I think you might be busy over there. We'll check in. We'll check in next week. Okay, cool. Sweet. Yeah, it's all about like what we care for. We make time for the things that we care about, you know? And it's okay if like this is not a priority. Like it's totally fine, you know? Like this is why we give people more time, you know? We all know that everyone has lives, everyone is busy, everyone has things going on, you know, but you invested into this program for a reason. You know, this was important at some point. And if it is continuing to be important, then it's something that we'll carve out. 5 minutes, that's 20 minutes in a week with 5 minutes a day. And if you're able to meet with grandma on Tuesday and Thursday, and you're able to meet with either Joaquin or Lucy or a friend on Monday and Wednesday, now you've carved out 4 days out of your week to practice for 5 minutes. And I promise you that it's gonna make a difference. You're gonna want to do more, of course. The more time we put in there, the better. But even just getting the words out is gonna just completely change the game for you. All right, so moving on to Sadie. Sadie said, yes, the responsibility is on both the student and the teacher. Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's really what we're talking about even now, Sadie. You know, it's like, what are we choosing to do with our time? And how do we show up for ourselves and for the people that we want to help? You know, whether it's through coaching, whether it's teaching yoga, whether it is, and whatever our careers or whatever we do with our life, the onus is on showing up. And as a teacher, the biggest thing that is on you is to just show up. Like show up to your class, show up to your commitments on time, and show up to the things that you need to know in order to be able to guide people through a safe experience. Every pose has at least one modification. So that's a great place to start. How do I modify a back bend? How do I modify standing at attention? How do I modify folding forward? Blocks, props, a chair, different variations. How do I modify a lunge? Oh, I can bring my knee down to the ground. Okay. Most of the time, a modification is going to be what's needed to be able to keep someone safe for most people. And if there's even a modification is not accessible to somebody, then we can work with that. And when you have those moments, it's just going to teach you. It's just going to make you better. But finding the time to learn those things comes more from the experience rather than the memorizing of information. Cool. All right, y'all. So let's do this. I see that we have about 10 more minutes. Any other questions? Anything else that's coming up for y'all? So now we're gonna practice. So let's go ahead. I see that some of us are at home. Angel, you're able to practice today, right? You're in your room?
Movement practice or speaking practice?
Movement practice.
Movement, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's do this, gang. Let's take a quick like 3-minute break. And for those of us that are able to, let's come back and let's set up our space so that we can practice some yoga. We're gonna actually stand up and do some yoga together, okay? And then what we're gonna do in just a minute is we're gonna have all of you popcorn style. We're gonna teach what we know. Okay, we're gonna teach that warm up, we're gonna teach the sun A, and we're gonna teach the sun B. And we're just gonna go through that together. All right. So little break. Let's take like a 4-minute break and then we'll be back in just a second. And Joaquin, you can pause the recording. Don't stop it, just pause it. We're doing it. Angel's here. Joaquin is here. Selena's still with us. Sadie, Andrell, Lucy. Okay, cool. Listening in today. Good to see you, love. All right. So starting today, we're going to, who would like to take us through the warm-up? Who remembers the warm-up? The intro. No one remembers the warm-up for the intro. It's out of mind, huh? Who remembers the Sun A? Okay, cool. Angel, take me through the Sun A, and then Joaquin, you can put the spotlight on me.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, let me turn this up. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Have your feet hip width apart or together, whichever feels the most comfortable. Shoulders back. Take a deep breath. You can close your eyes or have them open, whichever feels best. Really root down into your feet. You can rock side to side, front and back, to make sure that you're flat on all four corners of your feet. Come to stillness when you're ready. Take a deep breath in and raise your arms above your head. Urdhva Hastasana. Bring your hands down to your heart center, Samastiti. Bring your hands back up, Urdhva Hastasana. Hinge forward. I don't remember the Sanskrit for hinging forward.
Uttanasana, forward fold.
Uttanasana, forward fold. You can release your hands to the ground, bend your knees if you feel like you need some more support. You can shake your head back and forth, side to side. Take a couple slow breaths here. Come up to halfway lift. Put your hands right above your knees or below.
What breath do we do for halfway lift?
Inhale.
Okay, so using breath
Inhale.
posture cue, how would you say that?
I didn't hear you.
Using the breath posture cue formula, how would you say that?
Oh, okay.
She talked
Inhale,
about that, right?
halfway lift.
Yeah, say it again one more time.
Inhale, halfway lift.
Good job.
Exhale, forward fold.
Now, Angel, let's pause there for a second. Let's say someone does a halfway lift like this.
Oh, okay.
What would you say to that?
Make sure to keep your back flat. You can bring your stomach down a little bit.
What else?
Let's
say they're back here.
Okay. Make sure you're leaning a bit forward so you're grounded on the front of your toes and on your heels. Keep your neck in line with your back. Take a deep breath. Exhale down to downward dog. You can bend your knees if you need more support. Hips back. Allow your neck to relax. You can do some more movement forward and back, side to side. I'm going to take a few deep breaths here. In and out. And in. Out. Last breath. In And out. Bring your shoulders forward to come into high plank. Make sure your shoulders are above your wrists. Make sure your hips are down a little bit more. Keep your back straight. Take a small breath here. Chaturanga Dandasana, you can bring your knees, chest, chin. And then you can come up to Cobra pose if you need some more support with your lower back. On the inhale. And exhale, you can go back up to downward dog. Slowly take your time. Breathe at your own pace here. You can look at your stomach or your feet, whichever feels a bit easier for you. Inhale, come to halfway lift. And walk your feet
From a
forward.
downward dog, Angel?
Sorry?
From a downward dog, what do I need to go first before getting into halfway lift?
Oh, walk your feet forward.
All right, so let's do that. So I'm in downward
Okay.
dog. And now what?
You can step, hop, or walk your feet forward towards your hands. And slowly rise up to halfway lift. Knees above your knee, hands above your knees or below your knees. Make sure your neck is in line with your back. And your weight is in between the toes and the heel.
All right, great job. I want to make sure that we have enough time for everybody else. So, great job. I really love that you know the sequence. I love that you know the poses. I'm going to share with you some tips that I think are going to elevate what you're sharing. So you have a pen and paper, right, to take notes? And this is for Angel, but it's really for everyone, you know? So if you're able to, please take notes as well. I'm sure Christina's talked about this. Every teacher has their own way of teaching, and a lot of these things are very, your own personality and your own way of speaking is going to shine through. But when you're first learning to do this, having a system for cueing and for guiding people through these, this class, it's going to make it way easier. And it's going to help you stay consistent, and it's going to help create a good experience for the person that's receiving that. So the formula is breath, posture, cue. Breath, posture, cue. So that means we say the breath, inhale or exhale. Posture, we say the name of the posture or the name of the shape that we want them to get into. And then a cue is like, and I'm sure Christine has covered this already, but one or two things that are important for them to get into that shape. So inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, mountain pose or extended mountain pose. Reach your arms overhead. Point your elbows forward. Engage your belly. Relax your shoulders. That's 3 cues. Generally speaking, 2 to 3 cues. If it's a brand new class or a beginner, they're going to need about 3 cues. If it's an experienced class or people know the flow already, you can use less. And as you come into those poses again, once you've taught that the first time, you don't have to keep repeating yourself over and over. You can use less cues. So every single shape, we want to use breath, posture, cue in the beginning. And then what's going to happen, and you're going to know this as you start taking class or watching YouTube videos or taking other people, is that sometimes experienced teachers will get away from that. But now they understand how to teach to where they have their own mechanism. But to start off, breath, posture, cue. So everything that you were saying, for the most part, was correct, Angel. But I think that it was a little scattered in the timing was a little bit spaced out. So inhale, halfway lift. Bring your hands above your knees, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you, shift 2 inches forward. We want to say that quickly because if I'm in a position like this and you're like, okay, press your arms back, reach forward. If I'm taking my time, if I say like, inhale, lift halfway, bring your hands above your knees, straighten out your back, lean forward. Like for a lot of people, I can hold that, but for a lot of people, that would be really hard. So we don't necessarily want the cues to be super fast, but it does have to come like at a pretty decent pace so that they can get into the shape as soon as possible. So the name of the game is how can we get our students into the shape as soon as possible? And then if someone's doing something wrong, I can correct it. So I would say something like, you know, exhale, forward, fold, hinge from your hips, bring your heart down, relax your head. All the cues that you shared, beautiful. Share the cues at the end rather than the beginning. And then they're folding there, they're breathing. Then I would say something like, inhale, halfway lift, hands above your knees, straight spine, reach forward. And then I would pause. And then I'm looking around the room. And like if I was teaching a live class, or if I'm teaching online, I would look at all the little squares on the screen and I would see the bodies. And then if I see Gab over here like this, I'm like, okay, Gab, good job. Now reach a little bit higher, squeeze your shoulder blades, now lean forward. Now I'm giving Gab an adjustment specifically, but everyone got all the cues. So always, always, always breath, then the name of the posture, then the cue, rather than cueing them first and then maybe saying the name of the posture afterwards and then the breath. So keeping that consistency. It also helps to for the person receiving that to be able to like understand that they're being guided through that experience, and they start developing a there's a word for this, but essentially they start developing like the capacity to understand what's coming next. So if I say inhale Urdhva Hastasana, exhale Uttanasana, forward fold, inhale halfway lift, exhale Chaturanga Dandasana. Once we get into the rest of the sequence, inhale three-legged dog, exhale low lunge, inhale warrior two, exhale extended side angle. Now, even if you've never heard those words before, you understand the pace. Because that beginning section, that Sun A, it's kind of teaching them what the pace is going to be throughout the class, how we're going to teach. So if you find yourself having a hard time, write down breath, posture, cue, and then write down the whole sequence that way, right? So I would put breath, posture, cue, and then I would go through and I would create my whole script for the class that way. I would put the breath, the name of the posture, and then the one or two cues that I'm going to use. And then the next line is the next pose that I'm taking them into. And I would work my way that way, because then that's a script that you can actually use. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. You're doing great. I think if you started practicing with some people and with like, especially people that don't know yoga, those are the best, because you're going to see all the mistakes that they're going to make, and they're going to show you how to improve your language, how to improve the ways in which you teach. Okay. And that tip that Lucy gave earlier about recording yourself, try recording yourself and then take your own class. So like I've done that so many times. Like I'll record myself, I'll say the words out loud as I'm doing it, or I'll just read my script. I'm like recording myself with a little microphone. I'll go through the whole script and then I'll play back my own class. And then I could see, oh my gosh, I'm going way too fast. Or wow, I'm going way too slow. Like all those things become more obvious once you start recording yourself and practicing with people. Cool. Okay, so thank you, Angel. Who's next? Who would like to teach that the Sun A or going into the Sun B? You're muted right now, Joaquin. Who wants to try? Give that a try. Okay.
Selena, do it. Come on, girl. You know you want to. You got this.
I don't mind doing it, but I would only like be comfortable reading it, and it would only be Sun A. I wouldn't not yet. I don't mind. I'll definitely do it, but
Let's do it. You want to do Sun A?
Sun Sun A, and is it okay that I read it, or you want to see
Yeah.
where?
Let's see.
Okay,
Let's have you read it, but I want you to try
I
reading
could
it the
show
first
you.
time. And then the second time, I want you to try doing it without the script. So we're going to do Sunny
Okay.
2 times. How's that?
Okay.
All right. So go ahead. The floor is yours, Selena.
Okay.
And you can put the spotlight on me, Joaquin.
Okay. So let's relax. And Samastiti, take a deep breath. Inhale, Urdhva Uttanasana, hands overhead.
Urdhva Hastasana.
Say it again.
Urdhva
Urdhva Hastasana.
Hastasana.
Urdhva Hastasana.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, hands overhead.
Mhm.
Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half lift. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Oh, sorry. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Urdhva. Sorry. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, hands overhead. And come back into Samastiti. Take a deep breath. I don't understand what Samastiti is.
Samastiti is technically hands by your side, so standing at attention.
Okay.
Mhm.
I thought it was in front of your heart. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was taught hands over your heart, but the actual Sanskrit translates to hands by your sides.
Samastiti.
Now, let's do that again. And this time, as we go through each pose, that's our little chicken Robin. Everyone say hi, Robin.
Ah!
He
Hi,
likes to play the
Robin.
drums, so he's going to play the drums for us while we're teaching. When we go into the poses, I want you to tell me 3 cues for each pose. So let's try that again. And now I want you to give me some cues, okay?
Some cues. Okay.
So go ahead and let's get started. I'm actually going to do it for my niece so that we're close together.
Okay.
So imagine that I'm standing. And what's the
Okay.
first thing you would say?
Okay, let's begin with grounding ourselves, grounding our feet into the earth.
Mhm.
Samastiti, take a deep breath. Inhale, Urdhva oh gosh, see now I'm stuck on that. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, hands overhead. And then
What are
right
some
there,
cues that you can say here?
some cues. Hands overhead, arms straight.
Mm-hmm.
Can you also say, like, can I make up my own things where you're like stretching for the stars or something like that, or does it have to be?
No,
Huh?
I love that. That's cute. Yeah, so reach for the
Oh,
stars, arms
hands
overhead.
overhead, reach for the stars.
What
So
are
you
some
want to?
3
Okay.
other cues that we can say?
Lengthen. You want to lengthen your whole body.
Okay.
You want to straighten your back. You could align your back with the earth.
Okay, so let's say someone's like this, like super crazy tilt on their hips. What would you
Okay,
say?
and bring in your hips, straighten your hips.
And how do you do that?
How do
you straighten your hips?
but you're allowed, because I was going to say straighten your legs.
So okay, so let's do this. Everyone has their piece of paper to take notes with, right? We talked about the cueing formula, right? Breath, posture, cue. There's also a formula, or the teaching formula is breath, posture, cue. The cueing formula is this: verb, your body part. Verb, your body part.
Okay.
Has Christine talked about this before?
No, not
The
that
cueing
I've
formula.
noticed.
Okay, that's fine. So cueing formula, let's write this down. Let's make sure if you've never heard this before that you write it down. Cueing formula. Verb, your body part. So
Okay.
this is what it would, sorry, verb your body part, direction. I always forget the last part, direction.
Direction.
Verb your body part, direction. So I can say straighten your hips,
Mm-hmm.
but to someone that is not aware of their body, they don't understand what that means, right?
Okay.
So most people, and you're going to notice that, and maybe you notice this in your own body, and maybe you notice this in other people. If you say inhale, arms overhead, if they have a weak core, or just like a core that's not engaged, the hips instantly like want to stick out and the belly drops. Most people don't have the level of body awareness to know that they're in a misalignment. So if you say, if I'm here and I think that this is normal, and you like straighten your hips, I might just stay there. I might not move at all.
Mm.
So what I would say is, for example, tilt your tailbone down. Because if I'm here and I tilt my tailbone down, oh, okay, that's different. Or I can say, lift your hips up. Lift is the verb, your, because we're speaking to a person, we're giving them a command.
Mm-hmm.
Body part, hip points, or your hips, direction, up.
Okay.
So I can say
Gotcha.
something like, inhale Urdhva Hastasana.
Inhale, Urdhva
Lift
Hastasana.
your arms
Lift.
overhead. Verb your body part. Exhale, hands to prayer by your heart. Bring your hands to your heart at prayer. Does that make sense, Selena?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So verb your body part direction. So we want to
Okay.
say the action that we want them to take. Your, because we're speaking to a person or a collective group of persons. The body parts that they're moving. And then we want to say the direction in which they're moving that body part.
Okay.
So I'm
Gotcha.
in my extended Tadasana, my Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold. Hinge from your hips down to the ground, or bring your heart down below your hips. Do you know what I mean? And so we want to keep a way of like being able to maintain that order.
Okay.
And then afterwards you can give extra additional cues, right? So then we can sprinkle in some more like engage your abs, reach your arms higher, or fold a little more deeply, relax, all those other things. But typically the first cue, we want to use verb your body part direction. So it helps us just stay organized with that. Okay.
Okay.
So
I never practiced that. Okay.
so okay, so you have a few cues for Tadasana, right? For the Urdhva Hastasana. Where do we go from there?
Hastasana. Okay,
After
so
I'm standing at attention with my arms overhead. What's next?
inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, hands overhead.
Uh-huh.
And then you want me to say, lift your hips up.
Yeah, you can say
And
that if needed. Right now, I feel like I'm pretty straight right now.
mm-hmm.
If I was like here, what would you say?
Tilt your tailbone down or lift your hips up.
Yeah, makes a difference.
Exhale, exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold.
Uh-huh.
And if you're exhaling, Uttanasana, forward fold, hinge at your hips. Wait, I'm looking at both. You hinge at your hips and relax, you could say touching the ground if you can. Exhale, right. Okay, that was that one.
And if like I'm looking forward, where should my gaze go? If I'm here.
Your gaze should be at your legs for a full lengthening of the spine.
What if I'm all the way back here and I'm doing this? What would you say if I was doing this?
Well, that would be bringing your, oh gosh, I keep wanting to say bring your hips forward, but
Yeah, that's exactly it.
okay.
Bring your hips forward and then
Exhale, well, where am I? Exhale, Uttanasana. No, you're going to do the lift. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. And then I would say make sure your back is straight. Arms on above your kneecaps or on the side. Then you can exhale Uttanasana, forward fold again. Then I'm going to say inhale Urdhva Uttanasana, hands overhead.
Urdhva Hastasana.
Urdhva Hastasana, hands overhead. And Samastiti, come to Samastiti, deep breath in and deep breath out.
Okay. Now, I want you to try guiding me through the sun B.
Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find it. Is that okay. Sun B, inhale Uttanasana, chair pose.
And it's Utkatasana with a K.
Utkatasana,
Mm-hmm.
chair pose.
And what are 3 cues for chair pose? What do I need to do to get into chair pose? 3
Chair
things.
pose, lift your hands to the sky. Sit, have your tailbones. Lift your hands to the sky and sit down. Have a seated position with your tailbone out, with your back straight. Can I say those 3 things?
I wouldn't say with your tailbone out. I would just say chair pose with Utkatasana, find your hovering seat or just find your seat. Engage your belly. And typically we want people to lean back, stacking their shoulders over their hips if they can. Most people can't.
Lean back, stacking shoulders over hips.
While leaning back, you do have to carve your tailbone down. So, but we wouldn't necessarily want them to stick their tailbone out because then they're going to do this.
Okay.
So,
okay. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half lift. Exhale, downward dog. Adho, oh gosh, I don't know, Mukha Savana, hips up and back. Am I saying that right?
Mukha Svanasana.
Mukha Shavasana. Inhale, wave forward. Dandasana, high plank. And we want to make sure that shoulders are aligned and back is straight. Hips, well, hips, I don't know, hips forward or?
Typically for Dandasana, hips are in line with the shoulders, if not slightly down. And we're leaning forward. We want to keep the whole body braced in a straight line.
So it's lean. Okay, we're already in those positions.
Yeah.
So just mention the shoulders.
Yeah.
Align the shoulders.
And then where do we go from here?
Exhale, Chaturanga, Dandasana, high to low plank. Inhale.
There's some cues that you can give for a Chaturanga.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Is there in our schooling notes on this, or is this what we have to take on our own when we take the classes? Like when we experience the classes, we're taking notes of of the cues?
Yeah, you're asking if these cues are written down anywhere.
Yeah, or are they specific cues that we want to, because there's cues that would be mentioned on a regular basis, like natural cues, but then there's cues that we can also give ourselves. Are those written down, or is that our responsibility to start working on them? Because I
Yeah, so
haven't been, and I apologize for that. I didn't know.
yeah, so there's cues for every single posture that are pretty like universal, right? So for example, chair pose, arms overhead, sit into an invisible chair, engage your core. Core is going to be so important for so many of these postures. And then there's refinement cues, which is we're refining the posture, right? So instead of my arms being here, elbows forward, gaze neutral, straight ahead, like we can speak to that. But rather than getting into the habit of memorizing cues, bye, Andrea, good to see you. Rather than getting into the habit of memorizing cues, get into the habit of looking at the screen and looking at the body of the person that you're teaching. So that way you're not teaching to a piece of paper or to a script, but you're teaching to a real live human person.
Okay.
Right? So that's why the number one thing that I think is going to give you all the cues that you need is recording yourself and listening to your own class and taking
Okay.
class.
Yeah, I like
Taking
that.
class is so important to you guys. Like if we're not taking class, everything is exponentially harder because we're trying to memorize something that is very foreign. But if you're taking class, even if you're just taking 5 minutes a day, it's starting to get in there. Record yourself doing the sun B and then just practice your own sun B with your own voice. And then you're going to notice, oh, Selena, you should have told me to bring my knees down, or I could have done this or that to make this experience a little bit better, you know? Because all
Okay.
of those little things are going to make a difference. So today I'm going to send everyone the recording for this class. And I want to break down the Chaturanga because it's very important to make sure that we do it right. This is one of the poses where people injure themselves the most. And then after
Okay.
I'm done sharing this, we'll go around and we'll do a round of pearls and we'll close for today's class. Okay. First and foremost, I want all of you to practice. I really would love all of you to at least find another human being to practice with for the next 5 minutes. Not the next 5 minutes, but for 5 minutes, at least 5 times per day, or 5 times per week, sorry. 5 times per day would be great. At least 20 minutes of practice a day is really what we want. But if you can only do 5 minutes a day, that's going to at least be enough for you to have that information fresh in your mind. But so that's the first thing. The second thing is Chaturanga Dandasana. So let's talk about it. High to low push-up. When we're cueing people into this, right? We want to make sure, yay, fireworks. We want to make sure that we are cueing people the right way and that we're doing this in a way that it progressively helps them to feel what it is that we're doing. So if you can, let's all come down to the floor. So Selena, you're able to take class really quick or just like move through your body? Because it's gonna make more sense if you feel it, right? You're listening to the words, but if you feel it, now we're taking care of two of the 4 layers. So I want you to come to all fours. You know, we'll lean forward. Let's pretend that we're in a Dandasana high plank. Knees are on the ground. Engage your muscles in your belly. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Lower down halfway and hold. Squeeze the elbows by your sides, almost like you're squeezing your ribs. Tops of your feet come to the ground. Inhale, upward facing dog. Lift your chest, lift your knees, lift your hips. Pause. Exhale, downward facing dog. Knees to the ground, tuck your toes, lift your hips up high. Okay, so we can come back down to the ground. The number one reason why people injure themselves and they hurt themselves and their wrist hurts is because they're forcing themselves into a position that's not anatomically neutral. And what do I mean by that? Most people, a lot of people come straight down. Their shoulders come straight down to their hands. So just look at the difference between this and this. Does everybody see the difference? here, and here. What was the biggest difference between those two?
You shifted forward in the second one.
Yeah. So let's try that together. And I don't want you to stay here for too long, but just notice what it feels like. I want you to come down to your knees. And I want you to bring your shoulders directly under on top of your wrist. So push down. Okay, now come out of it. Now, that was a lot of pressure on your elbow, right? And pressure on your wrist. So now with your hands on the ground, I want you to shift forward, lean as far forward as you can. This time, I want you to keep your elbow over your wrist and now lower down. And then come up. How did that second one feel? A lot better, right? It didn't hurt the elbow as much. The wrist was a little bit easier. So when we cue into Chaturanga Dandasana, we want to make sure that that point of lean forward is not just in Dandasana. We're leaning forward the whole time because we want to keep the elbow stacked over the wrist. So I bring people, the way I normally cue Chaturanga is, we're in Dandasana. Okay, yogis, if you can hold this, stay here with your knees lifted. Otherwise, if you're already having a hard time here, bring your knees to the ground for a moment. Shift your weight forward 2 inches. Take a breath in to prepare because we always go down on an exhale. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, lower down and keep your elbows stacked over your wrists. Untuck your toes, that means tops of the feet to the ground. Inhale, upward facing dog. Lift your chest, lift your hips, lift your knees. A lot of people just keep their lower body relaxed. And that's why they feel so much pressure in their low back. This is an active posture. We're pressing the feet onto the ground. So let's come down to the ground. Come all the way down, belly to the floor. I want you to relax your lower body. So keep your knees, keep your hips on the floor. And I want you to lift your chest and press your arms. So that's probably really tight, right? Now relax all the way down. So now we're going to do an upward facing dog. I want you to first lift your knees off of the ground, press your feet, and now press your hands, lift your chest, lift your hips off of the ground. Now, do we see how that's so much more engaged and with less pressure on the low back? Yeah? That's how we do an upward facing dog. If that's a little bit too much, especially for someone on their wrist, then what we cue them is into what? What is the modification for upward facing dog? Who can tell me?
Low cobra.
Yeah, exactly. So then what we do is we bring people, let's come all the way back down. Let's do it together, coming down to the belly. Hands under the shoulders or under the elbows. Same thing, low cobra. We do the same thing that we do with our upward facing dog. Tops of the feet to the ground, knees lift. Keep the hips down, but inhale, lift your chest, baby cobra. Now, press your elbows together. Imagine your elbows kissing behind your back. That is what we want in a low cobra. Little to no weight on the hands. Hands can hover off the ground. And then we release, forehead down. Okay? So with both of those shapes, upward facing dog and low cobra, those are active postures. That means that the knees are lifted off of the ground. The lower body is actively pressing onto the floor because that's helping us brace our core and brace our low back. So that when we're opening from the thoracic spine. We're opening from this upper spine. Okay? So that's my little tidbit of chaturangas, right? Leaning forward. That's the biggest one, right? If I'm coming down, this is the last thing I'll leave you with. For your chaturangas, because we're leaning forward, we're not actually coming straight down. I'm coming almost at an angle, right? So if you see me here, I have my plank. I'm kind of leaning that forward. So my shoulders, if you follow my shoulders, they're coming at this like angle forward, right? I start here, but I'm coming in this direction. That way, when I come into my upward facing dog, I just have to bring the tops of my feet down and extend. But my hips never touch the ground. Okay? So those are the little things that are important to cue, to share when we're teaching. We're going to do this a little bit more, and I'm going to be here next week as well for the practicum so that we can keep going. Okay? So let's go around the room. Let's share. Sadie said here, I don't think I've had someone break down the Chaturanga like that before. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming to class. And then next week, we're going to go a little bit deeper into these different breakdowns. And I'm going to make sure that more than anything, you guys, again, I really would love to get you all teaching more and really see this class more as an opportunity for us to just begin to get the jitters out and practice. So I would like for everyone today and this week to practice the sun B. Practice the sun B, breath, posture, cue. You have the sequence. So take the sequence and then put it breath. What breath do I need for this posture? What's the name of the posture? And what is like 1 to 2 cues that I can do for each one? All right. And that's our homework for next Monday. And next Monday, we're all going to practice that sun B together. So let's go around the room and let's please share your pearl for today's class. What is like one thing that you're taking away? Who would like to start us off?
My pearl is that 5 minutes is enough. And if you can't find somebody within your community at home, then don't be afraid to reach out to Yoga Marga, like Lucy, Joaquin, Gab, Christine, Serenity. I'm not sure.
Serenity.
Maybe if she has time.
Put her to
Yeah.
work. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, me and Serenity, one of the reasons why it's been a huge help to have Christine, to have Lucy, to have Joaquin, is the fact that we have been very busy bringing like Yoga Marga to more people and expanding what it is that we're doing. And wouldn't be possible without all of you and your support. That being said, lean into your Dharma siblings, like lean into the people that have been doing this for some time. You're not alone. You're not alone, and just have to make the time. Make the time. We'll do it together. All right. What's anybody else have a pearl? Sadie shared, don't wait, get those 5 minutes in. I need to practice my courage more. Yeah, this is a great week to do that. And that's the homework assignment for this week, Sadie. So good job. Selena, I cut you off. What was your
Oh
pearl?
no, just all of the 4 levels of learning. Like
Yeah.
that, just I understood it, and definitely the 5 minutes. But the Chaturanga, like you breaking that down, I kind of feel like we need more of that with
Yeah.
specific poses, because that just kind of cements it, and it's like, wow, okay, I'm getting it.
Okay.
And definitely, yeah, the cueing, like, yeah, we
Okay.
need to be tested more on the cueing.
Yeah. So
Me, obviously, but
for sure. I
that
mean, all of
helps. That helps. That
us.
really does.
Next week we'll do more posture breakdowns. So next week we'll go through a breakdown of all the major postures in the sun A and then specifically in the sun B. I really would love to get you all moving along into the sun B and get everybody really confident with sun B. So next week I'll be there and we'll do exactly that. We'll do more of that together. Okay. If we're only doing one layer of learning, if you're only listening or only writing or only speaking, the training, it doesn't get imbued into our brain. We really need these 4 layers of learning in order for something to actually be like in there. You don't have to think about it, but it just flows. So those 4 layers of learning it's a game changer when we actually implement it. Who's next? Who's got a pearl for us? Lucy.
Record your practice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, definitely record your practice, your cueing, voice recording, and visual recording. That helps so much.
Yeah. If you really want to get certified as soon as possible and you want to be able to maximize your time, grab like your phone and just read your whole script and then just put it down and then hit play and take your own class. And then you're going to notice, oh my gosh, I say so much. or wow, that was way too fast, or that was way too slow. I need to speed this up. Like all the things that we're going to talk about, doing exactly what Lucy said is you're going to be able to be so far ahead of the curve if you actually watch your recordings. So record yourself. The Sun B this week, 5 minutes a day. If you did 5 minutes of recording your Sun B and then just practice that, you'll be so ahead of the game. So good job, Lucy. That was a great tip. Anybody else who's got a pearl for today?
My pearl is concise and succinct.
Concise and succinct. I love that. Thank you, Joaquin. Who is next? Is that everybody? Did everybody get a chance to share? Okay, great, y'all. Well, really, really excited that we got to spend some time together. I know it's a rare treat. I will be here next week for the practicum. And if you do have any questions or anything, please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have the WhatsApp group. We have the school community. There's also a questions tab there. So if you need support, you can reach out there. And you have your Dharma siblings. So there's plenty of channels to get help and to find those 5 minutes. Okay. All right, y'all. Take care. We'll see you very, very soon. Ciao, ciao.